Peace to the gods and the goddesses, man. About to do a quick little video. It's gonna be a little quick one right here in response to a question somebody had asked me. Which basically got to do with a video I spoke about the 9/11. Yo, this camera is trash, man. When I was showing y'all that the letters and all that, like the letter A for the last video, not the last one, but the video I recently did had everything upside down, son. They talk about all this technology and all this processing power, but yet these damn phones can't recognize what the hell is going on when you switch angles. You know, so the technology is garbage, man. You know what I'm saying? This technology is so trash. Let me get back to the matter at hand, though, son. You know, all this technology that's coming into this dimension is outdated and ancient. You know, they programmed you to see ancient technology with that cartoon, The Flintstones. When they had these people driving around in rocks and using billy clubs and stuff like that to make things. No, you gotta know real outdated technology is technology that comes out of an outdated biological technology, which is the human vessel. Anything they will freaking create will be outdated. I don't care if they create some atom particle that could splice atoms and all that. That's still outdated. Why? Because we already figured out how to splice atoms with our mind. You know what I'm saying? We, the God race, already figured out how to splice atoms with our mind. So while them using some machine to splice a damn atom, that no matter how high tech you might assume that machine to look, that machine is ancient, older than a goddamn dinosaur. But yeah, got this guy over here smoking his stinking cigarette. Hold on. Yeah, in regards to that video when I was telling you that basically Manhattan is a Masonic altar, and 9/11 was sacrifice when they burning of the candles. You got to know when they burn candles, that indicates that a sacrifice has taken place or is being taken place. You know what I mean? So when I was talking about how the basically 9/11 in Manhattan is basically an altar, and I was talking about how these spiritual people, how they have like these little altars in their room, when they have like some little table with some little Ptah statue or some little Vishnu statue, Shiva or a Saw statue with some candles, incense, and a frankincense and myrrh. You know what I mean? And they got their little seashells and their little emblems and crests and all that. And they look at that as a form of connecting with the dead, doing invocations and contacting, you know, entities that's in the spirit world and all that. And I'm like, the way how they doing that is weak. You know what I'm saying? Mess around. The only thing they could probably get in contact with, if they do get in contact with anything, is some weak entity that ain't really got no energy, no power, or some damn disembodied insects or animals. You know what I'm saying? Might communicate with a damn bird. And they might think, oh wow, well, you know, I was speaking to the ancestors last night, and you know, I spoke to a bird, and you know, the bird symbolizes the raven, and the raven is Haru. So you know, Haru came to me. Shut up, man. No freaking Haru came to you, son. It's a freaking seagull. They got ran over by a damn car because it was trying to eat some damn crackers in the middle of the damn street. You know what I mean? That's what came to you, son. So the reason why I say that all the cities, I mean all of them, they all altars. See, the reason why the God rays can't really see what's going on, because they keep looking at things with a mundane eye, which is the two eyes that's inside of your freaking skull. That is the mundane physical eye. In order for you to be able to see these things, how they truly look in other dimensions, you have to have that overseer vision. You need energy, you need power to do that. As I stated before, that's one of the main reasons why you should be sun gazing. To charge up the pineal gland, charge up your glands, period, charge up your soul. That's where you get the energy from. You got sundowner's disease, you forget. Your soul got sundowner's disease. You haven't charged your soul up. You haven't bathed in a flamey fire pit. You know what I mean? A hot tub time machine. You haven't bathed in it in eons. So, you know, just like those spiritual people will have these little statues and pillars and things like that, these candles on their altar, and you know their altar is a table, which is a cube, a board. Now you got to look at a block. You got to look at a block. A whole block is what? It goes around four corners. It is an altar. All of these cubes, all of these sidewalks, they are all altars. You know what I'm saying? They all altars. Every freaking block. I'm not so much talking about these individual blocks. Like you see the individual block. You know what I'm saying? I'm not so much talking about that individual block. This individual block would be like a television screen magnified 100,000 times where you can see the individual pixel. But when you zoom out, it looks like an image on screen. You know what I'm saying? You don't see the pixels this large. So when you looking at the whole blocks, they all altars. Now when you look at the buildings are pillars. You know what I'm saying? The buildings are pillars. Sometimes they could be monolith. You know, like that. You know, in regards to the moon deity, I already broke that down. It could be monoliths. It could be cubes, depending on how it look. See the dimensions that they have on it, the sigils that they have on it. See, they showing you right here that this is the pillar, because that right there would be the sun. The ball on top of that would be the sun. And let me see if I could zoom in. And the ball over here, this would be the moon. You know what I mean? So you're looking at the twin pillars right there. So they're showing you that's an instrument that's used when you casting spells, rituals. Now, the same way how the spiritual people will put these patar statues on any kind of statues, you know what I'm saying, on their altar, their tables, the beasts put statues up. They normally try to pass it off as what? Ancestors. John F. Kennedy statue, Abraham Lincoln statue, you know what I'm saying, Statue of Liberty. They got a whole bunch of statues all over this place. Those statues are no different than patar statues, because you always talk about Haiti spiritual people say things like, well, you know, this statue over here used to be our ancestors, you know, Heru and Horus and all this. Hold on for a second. Maybe like Heru and Horus and you know, all these deities, you know what I'm saying? They'd be like, yo, these are the ancestors right here. You know what I'm saying? That is what these statues represent. That's what the beast is doing. The beast is doing the same damn thing. All the statues that the beast put up has to do with their ancestors. Those are voodoo dolls. A statue is a voodoo doll. When you're looking at a Jesus Christ, that's a voodoo doll. The same way how you could make voodoo dolls. You know what I'm saying? The beast is doing it on a bigger scale. So when you're looking at the statues, it's no different than these spiritual people putting statues on their tables, and they using that to communicate with the dead. The dead is just basically disembodied entities. You know what I'm saying? Entities that's not inside a living vessel. You know? And just like how you have those spiritual people put candles on their altars, you know what I'm saying? The beast got candles everywhere. You just call it light poles. You know what I mean? Your light poles are candles. And it's on the altar, which is the board, the block, the cube. You know? So they put up these poles, you know what I'm saying? They're everywhere. You know, it's being advertised as, well, you know, it's nighttime, it's dark, people need to see where they're going. That's a surface description. realistically speaking, the candles are used just like in the spiritual people. They use the candles as an instrument to summon spirits, the dead, so they could navigate them, give them instructions so they could follow. The same thing with the street lights is doing. It navigates the dead, the human species. That's spirits you're looking at. It's not a physical body you're really looking at. It just appears to be that way because you're in the physical realm. But if you was in the immediate spirit world, you would see this little man right here is a little spirit. There's a spirit inside that body. You know what I'm saying? So they use the lights, the traffic, the candles, which is what they call light poles, street lights, the night lights, night lamps, to navigate the dead. You know what I mean? So you got to be able to see these things on a big level. And just like when someone die, like when people get shot up in the hood, what they do, they put candles where they get shot, showing you a sacrifice has just taken place. When the sacrifice happened with 9/11, what did they do? They shined two lights way up in the sky. Most people looked at that because the way how they programmed them to see it, well, you know, we shining these lights up into the sky in memory of the fallen. No. They light in the candles, you know what I'm saying? Because a sacrifice has just taken place. And they honoring the sacrifice. They ain't got nothing to do with how they telling you what's going on, son. This is a sacrificial dimension, son. You know what I'm saying? A sacrificial dimension. Dog eat dog. A dog-eat-dog world. Snoop Dogg told you that. You know what I mean? Because it's the sacrifice. Beasts eat beasts. Beasts on beasts. You know? So these little altars that the cocoa beasts, that's what I'm going to call them from now on. You can call them no black man, black woman. The cocoa beasts and the cocoa beastette. These little altars that they got in their little corners, that don't do a damn thing. Because the beast created altars on a grand master Masonic scale. And that Grand Master Masonic scale is making the whole goddamn city an altar. Your whole city is an altar. Why you think they got lines in it, man? Meridian lines. You know what I'm saying? Black and white, the Masonic checkerboard. They showing you. They created altars on such a large scale that the people can't even encapsulate it because their minds is so miniature. It's so minuscule. You know, you got these people out here actually running around assuming that there's some man up in the sky named Jesus Christ. That's how small these people's minds are. You know what I'm saying? Their minds is extremely small. So when you're looking at, you know, you're not looking at buildings, you're looking at sigils. There's no such thing as a building. That's an illusion. You're looking at sigils. The same type of sigil, well, not the same type, but a different dimension of sigils in contrast to what these spiritual people be putting on their altars in their house. You know what I'm saying? The cocoa beasts and the cocoa beasts, they exercise in spirituality on the lowest, weakest form. You know what I mean? On the lowest, weakest form, they exercise in spirituality, son. The highest form of exercise in spirituality is how the beast is doing it. But he turned the whole goddamn planet into a spell. All of these territories that exist on this planet that the beast orchestrated is a spell ground. A ground that casts spells that they use, and they utilize those spells to manipulate the masses, which is the dead. Just like what the spiritual people be trying to do with the when they do their little rituals and all that. Hold on. When they do their little rituals and all that, you know what I'm saying? They ain't really doing nothing. They not doing nothing, son. They not doing nothing because they don't understand that when when you reach that, that Grandmaster Mason level, you do things on a megalithic scale. You do things on a planetary scale. You know? You got these damn creatures trying to come next to me, trying to absorb the light and move down here. They don't understand that when you reach that level, you think bigger. When you think bigger, you do things bigger. In fact, you do things so big, small-minded individuals will not be able to fathom it. When you explain it to small-minded individuals, they would look at you like you crazy. You know, because they don't really understand the more knowledge that you acquire, it heightens your ability to see things like panoramically. Like you're now able to see things on a panoramic level, and by you being able to see things on a panoramic level, it sort of like expands your creative capabilities, where it's like you could create on such a massive scale because you could see the bigger picture. But for people who have a limited mindset, they don't even know a big picture exists, so therefore they only deal with bits and pieces, and they can only see bits and pieces. Therefore, whenever they create something, there's always a bit and a piece. Just like their little small altars that they have in their little corner in their house, or even if they turn their whole house into a damn altar, you're still not even matching the frequency of the beast. The beast is on a whole nother level, son. The beast created an artificial Kabbalah network known as satellite dish that's flying around the planet. The beast is exercising spirituality on the highest form that he and she can exercise. Not the highest form that it can be demonstrated, the highest form that they can do it. They basically maxed out their ability to do spirituality. All of your technology is spirituality. Technology is not created to make human civilization flourish or to make their lives more easier or proficient. You know, technology is spirituality. You know, they doing it on a higher form, on a highest form that their biological vessels would allow them to. You know what I'm saying? So when I broke down that when you was looking at Manhattan, you was looking at an altar. Most people assume that Manhattan is an island. That's what they told you. Manhattan is an altar. You know? You're looking at the Twin Towers, those were candles. That's why they was both lit on flames. You know, the plane was like the match. The fire that struck it, and then it lit it. Why you think they let the buildings burn? They got all this type of technology out here that they could put fire out in a nanosecond, but yet they let the fire burn. They telling you, well, you know, the jet fuel is down there and the firefighters can't get to it. You know, so they basically can't stop the buildings from burning. That's BS. You know what I mean? That's what they told the general population, because their minds is so small that that's the only level of explanation they could process. That's the only explanation they could process, because they have a minuscule mindset. Yo, it's burning for 2-3 weeks, you know, because, you know, they can't out the fire because, you know, the jet fuel and all that. So, of course, they're gonna buy it. But realistically, they let it burn, because what do you do when you light candles? You let it burn till all the wax is gone. You know what I mean? So they let it burn, symbolizing letting all the wax go out, satisfying the sacrifice. You know what I mean? It was a sacrifice because it's an altar. You do sacrifices on altars. People don't get shot in the street. Like when cops kill so-called black people, there's no such thing as police brutality. That's the illusion. That's a surface description. There's no such thing as racism. That is an illusion. That is a surface description. When cops shoot carbonated beans down, that is a sacrifice. Cops are Masons. All Masons sacrifice. Every single last one of them. Now, I'm not saying that it's good, and I'm not saying that it's bad. It's something that is exercised when you're in that order. All cops are Masons. They all take an oath. You know what I'm saying? You only take an oath when you are a Mason. Straight up. They all Masons. You know what I mean? And they're told by their captain, which is their ruling superior, this is what you got to do. And that's what they do. So when you hear about a brother or sister getting shot in the street and they trying to make it seem like it's police brutality, no, it's not police brutality, man. It's a sacrifice. That's why they have a conference. They call in one of the witch doctors, known as, for instance, Al Sharpton. And what do? They have a congress, which is a gathering, which is a symbolic wake, symbolic ceremony, where they gather the people to speak about the dead who just got sacrificed. There's old rituals they doing, man. What time is it, man? It's all rituals that they doing, you know? But they try to pass it off to the guard race. Well, you know, it's just racism, police brutality, you know, shooting this one down, shooting that one down, police, and, you know, they keep killing them and all this and all that. They got to do it. That's all part of the order. You know what I mean? It's all part of the order. So all your cities, I don't care what city it is, all the cities out here, they all altars. They are all altars. Every single last one of them. It don't matter if you go to Dubai, no matter if you go to Egypt, you know what I mean? Don't matter if you go to Thailand, if you go to Bangladesh, if you go to Atlanta, New York, Florida, you know what I'm saying? Look at the map. Go look at images of the territories of the map. And you see those artificial ley lines, meridian lines. You know what I mean? You're looking at various altars. All of your cities and states, those are all altars. And they do heavy sacrifice on it. So, you know, that's the quick little jump off right there, just breaking it down in a nutshell. You know, you got your same way you got statues on your tables, your altars and all that. You got it out here on these altars. These altars are just being exercised on a bigger scale because, you know, the beasts, they exercise it on a much bigger scale because, you know, they see the bigger picture. Their minds operate on a higher frequency, so therefore whenever they build something, and it doesn't always necessarily mean that whatever they build will be on a gigantic scale. They could also build small things that can have a gigantic impact. Like they could build a virus that your eyes can't see, but when they release that virus out into the public, it will have like a gigantic effect on the people who became infected. You know, so the giganticism doesn't necessarily have to do with how big a creation is as far as in size. We're talking about impactful. You know, you could encapsulate a damn energy into some type of apparatus that could blow up 12 cities that's smaller than a car tire. You know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily mean how big the object is. It all has to do with what type of energy in regards to the mental creation went into the apparatus. So it's all altars, man. Where we at? Where we going? It's all altars. Every single last one. So for the spiritual people out there, your altars don't mean a damn thing. You're exercising spirituality on the lowest, weakest form possible, son. And a lot of these spiritual gurus that's, you know, leading the carbonated beings on, they all agents for the goddamn beast. Every single last one of them. You know what I mean? Because they keeping their mind in a box. Keeping their mind in a spiritual Pandora's box. You know what I mean? You got to understand Pandora's box sit in a room, and that room stands on a foundation, and that foundation exists within Earth. So you got to ask yourself, is Pandora's box in prison? Is Pandora's box in prison?